This is not trying to impress you, but trying to actually make some significant points about strategy drawn from the Greek text. And so I'll do that with that in mind. What does it mean to make disciples? I mean, this is the age-old question, especially Thomas, you and I, impacted by Navigators and crusade ministry. What does it mean to make disciples? Well, for most people that means intentional, radical, one-on-one instruction and accountability. I mean, that's the normal understanding of taking somebody from being a lukewarm, milk-drinking Christian to a massive steak-eating meat Christian who, instead of sitting on the sofa, is out as an activist because of my one-on-one relationship with them. I was discipled intensely for 3 years when I was in college. Okay? Most people think, what does it mean to make disciples? I believe, after all these years, that's the image that comes to people's mind. And that's the image I want to deconstruct. That's not what's actually taught from the text. What does the text, what do the actual words of Jesus teach us about what it means to make disciples? Now, it obviously can and probably should include that image, but I want you to see it in a more biblical and in the broader context. Make disciples, this is the word, aorist. It is an aorist imperative active. And I'm not saying that to impress you, but I want you to notice the phrase, it is a verb, it is an aorist verb, but I just want you to notice that the word make disciples here is an imperative. It's a main verb. If you're going to understand this in terms of Greek exegesis, what does this word mean? Cognates, in terms of etymology, it means something like make learners, make pupils, some context, make followers. It can legitimately be translated make converts, even converts. Isn't that interesting? In light of make disciples is like making super Christians out of people who are already converts. The phrase can be used to make followers. Making followers could be seen like evangelism, making converts. So these are the cognates. Now the etymology of the word is that it is an aorist imperative, meaning it's like an exclamation point. There is one main verb in this verse. And that one main verb is make disciples. Go. Get after it. Get it done. Now, as I've already shared with you a little bit, then after cognates and etymology, the context is actually the key to understanding the use of this phrase by Jesus in Matthew 28. And I've shared this with you before, but this is it. These are basically the words. Make disciples is the main verb. Now notice the end of each of these words. Make disciples as an aorist imperative. And notice the aorist participle that is passive. Notice the ending. Notice the ending. Notice the ending. In other words, the concept of this main aorist imperative, make disciples, in the context linguistically, is actually linked to these three passive participles. This is how you make disciples, and this is actually what defines making disciples is. It not only tells us how, it defines the nature of what making disciples is. Notice, you make disciples. How do you make disciples? By taking someone and imparting information and holding them accountable? No. That could be a vital part of it. But how do you make disciples? By going, by baptizing, and by teaching people to obey. Now, by the way, almost every year, I won't do it to you now just to save time. Almost every year, I simply ask the students to close their notebooks and look at me, and I put up on the screen, I've been given authority, heaven and earth, go therefore and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them, listen carefully, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them all that I have commanded you, and I will be with you even to the end of the age. And then I say, what was erroneous about what I just quoted you? And I say it just like I said it to you, and I put it on the screen. What did I leave out just then?
An ing?
No. I left out something really critical, and it sounded like a beautiful, memorized recitation of the Great Commission. Yes, if I say so myself.
I'm not sure, but I think you left out, and I'll be with you always.
No. I mean, I may have not gone on to 20, and I will be with you always, even to the end of their age. But I left out something just life-changing, ministry-changing, critical. When I just told you the Great Commission. And by the way, rest assured, this is year 18. Everybody misses it. No, I didn't leave out baptism. Let me say it again very slowly. Go and make disciples, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them all that I've commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age.
Teaching them to obey.
Yeah.
Obey.
This little phrase right here, to obey. You know what most discipleship is? Teaching them. Just one small thing missing. Teaching them to obey. John Frame puts it this way: theology is application. Otherwise, it's meaningless theory. You can understand doctrine, pass exams, written and oral, but until you have applied it, you do not know theology, you just understand speculative theory. To teach someone to obey is transformative. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, when you look at this concept of making disciples, now I'm going to use contemporary terminology. You make disciples, you make learners, you make pupils, you make converts, you make followers by going. And by the way, in the historic context of this, Jesus is talking to his disciples who have this Judaistic understanding of the redemptive plan of God that is very come to the temple oriented, come to Jerusalem. And by going, he is making a profound counterintuitive statement that whereas everything that you have seen is come to the temple, come to the synagogues, now you are going. And now, quite frankly, it's like you just got the slip in the mail, you've been transferred. I don't know if you know what that feels like, to be told you're moving, you're leaving, you're going. This is the concept of an outward face and a shift in the redemptive focus. Remember centripetal and centrifugal? That's what this is all about, going. And you are baptizing, you are incorporating them into the church. You're not just leading them into professions of faith. You're incorporating them into the church through the covenant sign of baptism, and you are teaching them to obey. This is where discipleship is. A lot of people think this is discipleship. Make disciples. Oh, no, no, no. Make disciples. How do you make disciples? By teaching them to obey? No. You make disciples by going, by baptizing, and by what we might call discipleship. Okay? Now, let me pause before we break and just see, we'll pick it up there.